All right. Hey, YouTube, we're here with John Rivas, super heavyweight, Arnold Amateur champion, Mr. Justin Harris's coach. So wanted to go over, check in, just kind of recap the show, talk about what it was like leading up to it, all that fun stuff. Take us through your journey, especially for people who don't know, John, about like what it's like to compete, how early in the week you had to get there and set up shop and all that good stuff. I think all those anecdotal stories leading up, although they're kind of second nature to
the 9-week prep.
Yeah, we might as well start from the beginning, Justin. I think it was probably like November, and we had decided like, yeah, let's do the Arnold. And so started eating cleaner and really sort of tightening things up, not really starting prep yet, but not eating a big Thanksgiving meal and stuff like that. And so then probably like second week of December or something in there, they posted that the Arnold Amateur was canceled. And so we were all like, oh man, like I remember for a couple of weeks, I was like, should I go to Brazil and do the Arnold Amateur there? I remember I texted Justin, like, should we do Brazil? And
yeah, we were planning on Brazil.
Yeah, Brazil or God, what was the other one? Toronto.
Yeah, Toronto.
I just didn't want to wait all the way because we'd already started. I was like, I didn't want to wait till July to do USAs. I feel like that was gonna be too long. And it was just sort of burned me out. So I was like, all right, let's try to do it. So they canceled it. We were trying to scramble. And then probably like 10 weeks out or something, they were like, yeah, we're going to have it. And then so we were like, oh, shoot, we got to start like really cranking.
Yeah, because we'd kind of gone back to like recharging metabolism because the prep for Toronto, Brazil wouldn't start for a little bit. So we were like loading you again. And I was worried because I was like, bringing in a super heavy in 9.5 weeks. It's tough. It's going to be tight.
And well, here's the thing. It had been a year and a half since we competed. So it wasn't like I'd done a guest posing and some GNC photo shoot stuff. So we had not been too overweight, but still we were full blown off season for a year and a half. And that doesn't come off overnight. Yeah. So,
so I was a lot more nervous than John was. John was like, no, I got this. I was like, we got a lot of work to do. And then what we talked about with Rachel, quantum tunneling. John quantum tunneled around, was it 3 weeks out?
I think it was like 3 or 4.
Yeah, it was, we like, because we were working hard because the diet was no joke. It was probably from like almost 6 weeks out. It was like no carbs, no fat. It was just.
I remember when you dropped.
I think it was like 6 or 7 weeks out. We did the.
Yeah, because we didn't have any time. We had
you dropped all the fat.
Yeah, no fat, no added fats.
I remember that's when like John would be like, I'm not recording this week, dude. Like, fair enough. Fair enough. So he's like, I'll hit you up in 2 weeks. I'm like, fair enough.
So Justin and I both know that sometimes my body, as soon as it clicks, we're good, right? And then it's a positive and negative that we have to control it because we can almost
your metabolism will run away like it did last year.
Yeah, with USAs, and then next thing you know, you're stringy. And I remember at USAs, I had 7 meals, and then plus a double cheeseburger and a Coke that I don't think I ever told Justin about. And I lost 14 pounds from weigh-ins on Thursday to prejudging on Friday. I weighed in at 239, and I stepped on stage at 226, and that was after 7 meals and a double cheeseburger. So we were trying to avoid that this year, which we did, and that was good. So, but yeah, I mean, I guess going back to the timeline, I would say probably around like 5 or 6 weeks out, I started getting random messages, and do you think you're going to be ready? Are you going to be ready? And I'm like, dude, I know I'm going to be ready. I know how my body works.
This episode is brought to you by First Detachment. First Detachment is an expert formulated supplement company founded by renowned coach Justin Harris. We've combined science with real-world experience in each product. We are battle-tested. Are you? Find your battle today at firstdetachment.com.
I think we posted something at maybe 7 or 8 weeks out, and I got DMs like, is he gonna be ready? I had to explain to him like, this isn't 8 weeks out starting at 16 weeks out. This isn't halfway through prep. This is 10 days into prep, It's like So, you know, we didn't really post much leading up because I didn't want to deal with all that. I didn't want John to deal with it. I mean, I don't think John's past that, but, you know, he's competed like, you know, world powerlifting stuff and all-time world record holder. So I think he's past that. But it's still stressful when, you know, people don't know the context. They hear 8 weeks out and they think 18 weeks out or 8 weeks out when you started prep 16 weeks out is a different beast than 8 weeks out when you started prep 9.5 weeks out.
Yeah. And so we were like a week into prep or 2 weeks into really actually pushing it and being in a solid deficit. And, you know, the one thing we did do this time, which I was happy with also how the body reacted, was we ran way less fat burners, you know, way less. So we were able to control the body weight more going into the show. I think that was a big part of it, but yeah, it wasn't.
Yeah. John's got a tricky metabolism in that he's got a good metabolism. It's not insane where you can just pig out all year in the off season, stay lean. He's got a good metabolism, but it's tricky in that it'll run away on us. And it's overnight where, you know, we're behind. Oh, hey, we're going to be ready. Then 3 days later, holy shit, you look like anorexic. What happened?
Yeah.
You know,
you look flat and stringy.
Yeah. We got to it's like landing a fighter jet on an aircraft carrier. You know, there's no room for air. And when it comes, you got to know when to pull back, because we pushed really, really hard. Really hard. I mean, from like 6 or 7 weeks out where we were just killing them. Double sessions of cardio, no fat, no carbs. And then we brought carbs back in a little bit around 3 weeks out, I think, if I can remember.
Yeah, you added
post-workout carbs. Not much.
I had like 100 grams of carbs post-workout. I think like 25 before and 100 after, and like that was more than enough. I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah. So it's like it's all go, and then the snowball starts rolling. That snowball starts picking up speed, you know, and it's growing, and then you got to know when to kind of, you know, pull the reins back a little bit, because you want to maintain a steady speed. So we went real overboard. So basically 7 weeks out to 3 weeks out, we're just murdering them. And you know, people were DMing me, and, you know, like Team Troponin people, and, you know, all the 1D people asking, you know, if I thought is going to be ready. And I was like, you know, I mean, and being 100% honest, I didn't know, you know, I mean, we know how quickly things are changing.
He don't trust me still. That's okay.
We know quickly things are changing, but it's, you know, it's like stage conditioning is no joke. It's not like getting gym lean or photo shoot lean. You know, like, you want to turn pro, you got to be inside out shredded. And John's like, his back comes in pretty quick, his arms and chest come in pretty quick, his abs and quads a little bit slower, but his glutes come in real late, you know. So it's like, we knew that was going to be down to the wire. And so we knew it was going to be close, and knew we were threading the needle. And I mean, I think we did. I think we nailed it. I mean, really, really, I would like to have been a little bit fuller, but bringing you down in a 9-week prep, there's no way we were going to be able to land that full, you know, well enough to be totally full on stage. Because really, what if we, like, in an ideal situation, if we could have done the same thing, but then had 2 more weeks to maybe bring in like his training days, bring him up to 300 or 400 grams of carbs for, you know, for a whole 2 weeks before going into that peak week, and let his body kind of slowly fill out. So we're not trying to reverse, you know, 9 weeks of suffering in 2 days of carbon up, basically. But we got pretty darn close. I thought he looked amazing on stage.
Yeah. So like, going into it this time, definitely the mindset was different. Having the experience from, I mean, by the time I was 22, I was at IPF Worlds, you know, at the Olympic Training Center in Poland. We were competing, and I was already national champion, junior national champion. You know, so I had the experience of like, oh my God, like, I'm on stage, like, this is a big thing. And so it was funny, like, this time it didn't even feel like I was really in prep, because I had felt confident in what we had achieved over the, you know, quote, off season, the past year and a half. So going into this was different. I kept telling Justin, like, I know we're going to be ready. Like, this is going to be good. And, you know, of course he's concerned because he wants me to be, you know, he cares and he wants me to be in shape. But I just knew in the back, I was like, yeah, we're going to be fine. And probably I didn't feel rough until maybe 3 weeks out. And then it was like, okay, yeah, we're doing this. So then it's,
you got no fat. I mean, when you have fat when you have no fat and carbs in the diet, but you still have some fat in your body, there's still an energy source. You know, it's not the fun energy source.
Yeah.
But once that starts running away and there's not much fat left on the body, and then to hit that, because that happens to anyone who gets in shape, but to hit that wall, it's like, like hitting the wall in a NASCAR race at 180 miles an hour versus like bumping into the wall where you can kind of coast in and adjust things. And when you get that point where there's no fat left on the body, but you're still pushing, but bumping in the wall is totally different than slamming headfirst in the wall, which is kind of what we had to do at that 3-week mark.
Yeah, and so like the last couple of weeks, it was still wasn't as bad as times before. And I think the more you prep, the easier you get, or you just get used to it. You know what to expect. So there was no like frustration or anger or anything like that. And me and Justin would just shoot text messages back and forth and just be like, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And everything ended up working out. We planned on getting to Ohio that Monday. So we thought we were competing Friday, like they always do. And then the show went to Thursday. So then I had to change my flight to Monday. We got in, and Nate Mead came down on Tuesday, and I got like Amazon Prime. I bought it for that week. And then so like all the groceries were delivered to the house. I'm like, this is easy. This is fun. So we found a little sort of artsy gym in the area in Columbus, and
finding an artsy gym in the powerlifting capital of the world is a tough.
Yeah, and so we found it because we didn't want to be at like, I had a photo shoot at the Pros Gym, which used to be Powerhouse, but it's not a big gym. If anyone's ever been there, it's a pretty small gym.
Yeah,
and you're bumping shoulders with pros and stuff, which is great. But when you're focused on your show, it can be a little distracting. So we just found a little small gym and went there for a little bit. And other than that, the week of went pretty good. I was able to communicate with Justin pretty well. And then leading up to the show, we started filling out really well. And everything was looking good. And then so the morning of, Justin was having surgery. So that we knew that it was going to be, I wouldn't have a few hours, not long, but I wouldn't have a few hours to talk to him. So we game planned, and I was like, okay, cool. They're going to get us on stage, or they're going to get us warming up at 7, on stage at 8. Bodybuilding is first. They're like strict with this show. Like, if you don't get on stage, you're not going to be on, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So I'll have my meal a little before 6, and then I'll bring, some snacks and other things to eat and nibble on, because we'll be on stage by 8 something. I don't want to be super bloated. So we did that. We got backstage and, got my tan and stuff, got backstage, and they start telling us to warm up and stuff at 7. Like, you need to be warming up now. The lady was sort of tough. She was yelling at everybody. And so being a super heavyweight, I know like we're going last, right? And, some of the classes were pretty big. They had like 10 or 12 guys. And so I'm like, all right, well, we're gonna wait. But they made us do warm up at 7. We didn't get on stage till like 9:15, 9:20. And so imagine trying to hold a pump for 2 hours. It doesn't work. So a lot of the guys, the big super heavies, and they're from different countries, we're in the back and we're looking at each other, and the vents, because it was the pro stage. So it's a big stage. The vents are blowing AC like on us while we're sitting in the back. So we're all of us, big guys, right? Guys even way bigger than me. And so we're in the back and the AC's blowing on us. Everyone's lost their veins. Everyone's like sort of looking flat. And so we finally get on stage and we're able to hold it together and keep some dryness and it's sort of a decent look. I could tell in the mirror that I didn't have the vascularity and stuff yet. I probably need a little bit more food, maybe a little bit more fluid, just a tiny bit. But, we did what we had to do. And so the prejudging looked good. We were tight. Like Justin said, we could have been a little fuller. But for what, we were doing backstage and waiting, it was fine. And then after that came a little bit of an issue where, well, I'll back up for a second. So on the pro stage, they have the billboard like in the back. And so it's weird to see that when you're an amateur. And what happened was I'm watching these guys. So I'm on the side and I'm watching these guys up on the billboard. And I'm like, dude, these guys look insane. Like I lost. Like, and so in my mind, I'm a very competitive guy, but I'm like preparing myself to be like, okay, I lost, whatever. Let's just whatever, another one, right? And then I go out there and pose, and some of the photos I'm smiling, some of them I'm not in my 30-second routine because I thought I got smoked. And so I walk off stage, and then they come back through the comparisons and they move me to the middle. And I was like, maybe I did okay. And then so we go off stage and I'm texting Nate, who is with you, Joe. And I was like, dude, how did I do? Be real. He's like, you did really good. And I got the video and I was like, I didn't think I looked like that. So now in my head, I'm feeling better. Stress is gone. But then I realized I didn't have any extra food. Right. And so now I'm like really starting to get hungry. And I knew it was my fault. It was 100% my fault. I should have had an extra meal, at least one extra meal. But that was my fault, and just sort of slipped my mind last minute. And so luckily, you guys were able to bring me some chips, Joe, and stuff. So I had a little bit of fluid, tried to eat some chips, and we didn't get back on stage till like 11-ish. So by that time, it had been almost 6 hours since I had eaten a full meal. And what happened was, for the overall, they brought me in the winner, who ended up winning. They brought us together in the middle. So it was between me and him. And they ran us through the poses and stuff. And then they sort of decided, what they were looking for was more of the conditioning, like who was able to stay dry and stuff like that. So when they gave him the overall, it was awesome. It was great to see him, a good guy, win. And then when I went off stage, I was like, okay, let me sulk for like 2 minutes, grab my stuff, and then I'm going to get out, go get a burger, and I give myself like that little bit of time just to be like, oh, woe is me, and then so I went backstage, and the head ref came up and he was telling me, he's like, you did great, you did really good. And I'm like thinking to myself, I'm like, man, like, who is this guy? Like, I just want to get out of here right now. I don't know what's going on. And then I look up and I see, IFBB on his shirt. And he's like, I was like, oh, were you a judge? And he's like, oh, I'm the head judge. And great guy, really nice guy. And he gave me some really good feedback that made it all worth it. So it didn't leave on a sour note. It left on a really good note. And he just pretty much said, the reason we weren't able to pull the overall off that it was close was because it just faded, and lost a little bit of lines in the legs. But that was something we could control. Like I said, that was my fault.
You can see the pics. There's I think I posted some on Instagram too from finals. You were sharper at finals. You just weren't as full, so it wasn't as good of a look.
A little flat, yeah.
Yeah. John's got a big frame, and so he's got to be full. Joe, and I sent you kind of what the peak plan was. We ended up going higher carbs than that, but we had him a good amount of food. It was like 725 grams of carbs the first day with high water. The next day, I think we dropped it to like 675 grams of carbs with higher protein, but we ended up adding more carbs, like 15 grams per meal for most of the day. So we were pretty close to the same amount. So, 1,500 grams of carbs total with water in during the carb-up. And then we took fats pretty high the day before the show because we had to dry them out because we pushed really hard with the fullness and we needed them dry because John's kind of watery naturally.
Yeah.
But we can't, we needed calories in to keep them full. So we took the fats pretty high, up to like 21 grams of added fat per meal, like 3 spoons of peanut butter or whatever. I mean, I knew you won. I'm trying to scroll back through our text messages. The ones you sent me, Monday, I was feeling good. You sent, I think, when you got there before your 5th meal, and you were looking really good. But then you sent pics Tuesday, and the second set of pics post second meal on Tuesday, I knew. I replied, add 15 grams of carbs to this meal, but I wanted to reply, dude, I think we're gonna win. But I didn't want to get too hyped because I knew how dry you already were and how full you already were. And we were just going into like the second day of filling out. And it was the peak was smooth. Like I didn't even realize, but going back through our text, I was expecting to have to scroll back, 7,000 texts like usual, but it wasn't. It was very, very minimal text.
Yeah.
Almost no changes to the peak plan. And so, and it, you know, it sucks to not get the overall, but in the grand scheme of things, it's almost a blessing. I mean, no one, it's never a blessing not to get your pro card, but I mean, who turned pro?
At the Arnold?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I have him on Instagram.
Exactly.
I can't remember his name.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's, you know, so that's the thing, you know, like if that could have been John saying like, who was that guy that won? He was super. He got a big frame, looked good, you know. So now he's the guy who got who arguably got robbed at the Arnold. Now we go into the Nationals or whatever we plan to do next as the guy who got robbed at the Arnold, rather, you know. And so he's got some hype, and then the next show is a show where no one's gonna. It's not a show where you don't remember the winner's name. You know, the Arnold. If you come in as a stud, people will remember. But it's an easy one to forget who turned pro each year at the Arnold Amateur, despite the big name. You don't forget who turned pro as a super heavy at the Nationals, or at the USA's, or North Americans. And so now we go into the next pro qualifier where he's got some hype. We can do a full prep. Everyone knows he's the guy who could have turned pro already, and maybe should have. Right. And so I think, like all things, you know, when you're writing your novel for your competitive career, this is a blessing, I think, long term. It sucks in the moment because it'd be nice to having this talk as an IFBB pro right now, and he very easily could have, you know, a little bit of food, a little bit more food in between, you know, backstage, and we're talking to a pro right now. But it's also could be the pro, people might not remember his name, where that's not going to happen when he turns pro now. You know.
Big shout out to the gentleman who did beat me, because he stayed dry and he did his thing. Good. And so,
and we knew who it was going to be, you know, we knew
the right man won. So, I mean, we made a simple mistake. I made a simple mistake, and, you know, but going forward with the positive thing was, you know, and if anyone's ever going through prep or starting out and trying to figure it out, it does not happen overnight. You know, you're not going to nail it most of the time. You may get lucky and nail it, but not realize how you nailed it. And then so it takes a few times. So this time we really nailed the prep, especially for how short it was. We figured out how to control the fluctuations in my body weight and not get me too stringy and not overuse, you know, certain fat burners and things like that. And you know, we were able to peak, like Justin said, pretty easily and pretty well. And, you know, we're working really well together now. And, okay, so we just got to eat a little bit more in between, you know, shows and stuff, like prejudging and that. Okay, that's fine. We can fix that. So
what would you say was the weight variance like because I'll pull up the prejudging video in a second here. I have it, but like your weight at prejudging versus maybe roughly where you guys think the weight could have been. Obviously hindsight's always 20/20.
Prejudging, you were pretty good. I would guess you're probably. I mean, you lose weight so fast when things are revving. So
I was right under like 250, like on stage.
So I mean, so remember what he weighed at USA. So we're talking 25-pound stage weight increase almost. So a hell of an off season.
Yeah, jeez. Yeah, let's take a look at this.
I won't say what I weigh now though.
A hell of a lot more.
See, I'll just watch this routine here. I like the way you did that double by, though. It was a nice twist to it.
Yeah, and so you can see the glutes from here. You know, you can see the glutes. It's a little, the video's a little off a little bit, but you can see the glutes and stuff. So I was happy about that, and see the hamstrings, and like we were a little flat for sure. You know, we could have made the back pop more, and legs were a little soft and stuff, but
yeah, it's tough because I mean, adding some food there and some sodium would fill you out more. I mean, your shoulders are full, your chest is full, but it's, you know, like whenever you do these, the only person who's ever what sucks about being a coach is that there's only ever one person happy at any show, you know, and so it sucks being a competitor even more. You know, like one guy walks away happy. You know. I think we were pretty close. I mean, you can see the glutes there. You know, you know, a touch more sodium backstage to keep his blood sodium concentration a little higher, so water's getting pulled from the skin into the blood rather than the other way around. Oh no, I remember what pic you sent when I knew you were going to win. You did the one in the mirror from the side show.
Oh yeah, the night before.
Yeah, I knew we were good then.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, the conditioning was there, you know, for especially for what we did. I feel like we really nailed it because we had to do it in a short time span.
Yeah.
So we really figured out what works for me now. And you know, some people are like, well, just go do USAs and this and that. And the thing is,
yeah, I knew there. Yeah, because that was, we hadn't even, that was before drying out, really. You know, I mean, we didn't do much to dry out, a little alcohol, but you know, I knew that was the wateriest he was going to look from then to until prejudging at least.
Yeah, and Joe, I don't know if you're able to go to my page. I have some of the stage photos on there, and we can show what we sort of worked on.
Yeah, let me see which one this is. But how about this one?
Is that so this one, I can only do the funny thing is I can only do this pose like 2 weeks out. I cannot practice this pose in the off season. I cannot practice this pose even like 6 weeks out. So this is something I do right like 2 weeks before, and people like the way it looks. So I'm like, all right, I'll
Dorian hit it.
Yeah, so I was like, I'll keep doing it like that. But you know, you can see everything.
All the lines. He's dry there. A little could have been fuller. You can a little flat through the legs, but I mean, it's like nitpicking. You know, he's 250 pounds on stage, and we're calling a 250-pound guy flat. You know, 20 years ago, 30. But you know, Dorian only weighed in the mid 250s. But nowadays, you know, you got to be full.
And Joe, I think there's another one from the front, which shows that it wasn't that we were way off or anything like that.
The ab shot?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got it right here.
So this one, you can see me and Justin used to joke about it. When he first started working with me, I didn't necessarily have a lot of quad sweep. And Justin was actually
powerlifter quads,
yeah, he was actually in the audience when I did a first show a couple years ago, and you know, he told me, he was like, yeah, you know, I was worried your legs are going to be more straight down. So we've worked on that and developed a pretty visually appealing, I would say, looking set of legs, and we've kept the waist tight. So for people saying, you know, the squats and the deadlifts and stuff will blow your waist out, like, I don't necessarily agree with that.
I don't either. I think where that came from is that people with a wide waist tend to be good squatters and deadlifters, you know. So when you look at the people who are really strong squatters and deadlifters, partly they were because having a big thick torso allows you to be good in those lifts. It doesn't mean that they got that torso from those lifts, but yeah. But I mean, yeah, I think I'm really happy because of what I know now, because I know now with a full prep, we'll get him to where he was there, you know, at a week. We'll get there about a month out, maybe 5 weeks out. Then we'll keep pushing on the low days, still burning fat on the low days, but we'll bring his carbs quite a bit higher. Bring, you know, like we only got to add about 100 grams of carbs post workout. We'll do 100 grams pre and post. Bring in the intra back in. Maybe you know, 2 weeks out, maybe go at another 100 grams and kind of slowly bring him up in carbs, because he'll still be burning fat at those calorie amounts, you know, because his off-season intake is, you know, like your carb intake right now is sky high, but we'll still be burning fat at those amounts, just not as hard and not depleting as much. The low days will still be fat burning days. Well, the high days will fill you up, and then we'll go into peak week rather than being like hyper flat and trying to fill out, dry out, and do everything all at once. We'll go into peak week, not full, but not so flat. We'll go into peak week at a decent level of fullness, be able to fill you up properly, and then have you that same level of dryness, but full on stage.
Yeah, I think that, you know, and then probably the rebound, which Justin is known for, making his people big and putting on a lot of muscle, which is rightfully so. So I sent some photos over to you, Joe. I don't know if you have them.
Yep. Yeah, I do.
Okay, so
I was pulling this one up first. Sorry, just give me a second.
Okay, you're fine. Yeah, so these are 3 weeks post show.
Yeah,
this is your peak. Sorry, let me just go back to this.
Oh, okay. But yeah, so these will be 3 weeks post show. I'm up to pretty much 270.
That was just your peak. I'm pulling up. Can you guys see it? Okay.
I can send you the pics.
I got the pics too. Yeah, let me just.
No, don't show him that. People are gonna be like, he wasn't eating. He was starving.
Oh no, that was the peak. That was you were doing over 700.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm loading them up right now. I got them in the drive from when you sent them.
It was almost not even worth doing the updates towards the end because it was like, oh, what does your diet look like? It was like 0, 0, 0.
Yeah, there was nowhere else to go. We went straight to the bottom.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. This is okay. This just to go back a little bit. Okay, because this is what I was looking for. I think sorry, John, if this is painful, but we got to do it.
Oh God.
Hold on. No, it's all good. This is like good stuff because I still kind of, I don't know. I mean, this is like, you guys see that? Okay.
Yeah. The lighting, I mean, I didn't think the lighting was that great. It wasn't for the pros either because Nick Walker looked a little glossy, glassed over. And maybe, that can happen when you're that lean and really focusing on leanness. What ends up happening is your blood volume gets so low, there's just nothing else in your body, when you dry out on top of that. And the small blood vessels just don't have blood like they normally would. And that's kind of what dimples the skin and kind of like makes it look granity. And when you lose that, it can kind of look like glossy so that whatever lighting they had, it wasn't bad. I mean, the lighting's pretty good. It's good photograph lighting. It's not good bodybuilder lighting because both of you guys are in really good shape there.
Is there one from the side, Joe? Just to see, I wanted to see my glutes and stuff, see if things.
Yeah. Let me see. There's a video too. Let me see. This is kind of, let me just pull this one up here. Let's see. So let's try this. So that's kind of a little hard to get there. The guy in the blue trunks too. What was he? Was he a heavyweight?
Yeah.
He looked pretty good too. But
he was in shape. Yeah. He was in condition. But there you can see the other guy too. The guy that won. Yeah. He's hard. He was lean. I thought he was going to be too flat. I think he was with Phil Viz. Was he with Phil?
No, he was with this guy. Was with I can't remember. No, there's another gentleman with.
They did a good job with him though. Whoever it was. Yeah. I mean, he peaked pretty well because I saw pics the week before or something, and I was sure he was going to be flat. Mm-hmm. But they got him pretty good.
All right, let me keep going through here. Here's another. I think this might be.
Show the current 270 picks. So
I will. Because
we're gonna hit the same condition at 285. It'll be 260 and a little bit harder.
Yeah, I'm pretty. I keep sending Justin photos, and he's like, "Keep eating."
Yeah, we haven't done that. We haven't.
Oh wait, yeah, this is.
Gentlemen, quarter turn to the road.
So the one thing, if you pause it,
this was the first one when you guys first got out there. Obviously, they moved you around. They moved you to the center, but
but it was interesting to me how no one really had developed abs. I know maybe people weren't crunching down; they were sort of lifting the rib cage up. But even when they were doing ab shots, it was sort of, I don't know if people just don't focus on that, but I don't know.
These are just quarter turns, I think. So
yeah.
But all right, let me find. We want the big boy pictures. I get it. Hold on. Let me pull those up. Where the heck are they now? All right, here we go. I think these are the ones you want, John. The old kitchen photos here.
I think my cat's making a little.
All right, so let's take a look at this. Is that the one of them?
Yeah. So these are Yep.
This is the rebound 270.
Definitely a lot fuller.
Yeah. Back obviously shrunk a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Can't even see the windows anymore.
Yeah, I think there's an ab shot. I don't know if we. Yeah, so I mean, I don't know if we can zoom in on that.
I'm trying to. There.
Yeah. So still trying to keep abs and stuff at 270 and whatnot. So, just trying to grow right now.
Yeah, I think we got a good recipe. I mean, basically a repeat of the same approach, only giving you a full prep, and then getting to where we kind of had to finish things off and step on stage at the time. If we can get there 4 to 5 weeks out, start bringing the food back in, come in, a little bit crisper, a little leaner, have the glutes fully in, and then be nice and full on stage. I think that's a very, very solid shot at a pro card. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And possibly a favorite.
And Justin knows, like, at the end of the day, we have to put on size and stuff, and definitely keep filling out the frame because we have a lot of room to grow. But keeping the shape at the same time.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, I think you put on just a little bit of size there.
Yeah, so the one on the left is right before Justin and I did our first show together. I think that was January 2021. And the one on the right, obviously, is after the Arnold this year. So,
yeah, so you see how quickly he's progressing. I mean, that's the thing is, a lot of the guys that that'll be kind of known or favorites in the supers, they've looked the same for multiple years. John's changing so quick. You can see just 2 years there, and we're going to have another, not a full year, but we'll have 8 or 9 months, which is not far off from a full year. So he's gonna be ready next time.
Yeah, definitely excited. Looking forward to it. Not doing USAs, but most likely making a decision around August if looks like nationals is good. So.
I think I think ride the
wave.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because right now you're the guy who won supers, could have won the overall. I don't think anyone would have argued you didn't deserve it if you won the overall. I think both of you guys were clear 1 and 2 for the overall, and so now you're the guy who almost turned pro, and we did that with a half a prep, and trying to get it all done in half the time. So with a full prep, not having you walk into peak week so depleted that you're, I mean, we literally went like 50 grams of protein, 0 carbs, 0 fat, double sessions of cardio.
Yeah.
It was pretty much, dude, what was that Kevin Levrone back in the day where he would be like, he would just go straight veggies and like chicken or veggies and fish and sleep on the floor, he said, with like guns next to him and stuff. That's pretty much where we were at for like almost 2 months.
Yeah, it was, I mean, and when I say 50 grams of protein, it's no added fat, and the protein sources are lean sources.
Super lean, yeah.
I just did chicken. Yeah, chicken breast.
So you can go. Anyone who's listening can Google rabbit starvation. That's what happens when you only eat very lean protein sources. You can get to a state it doesn't matter how much you eat, you can still starve to death. And that's essentially what we had to do with John. Not long enough to starve to death, but close enough to feel it.
Yeah,
I started seeing the light.
Well,
yeah,
we'll end on that. So everybody out there, thanks for tuning in. We'll have more progress updates as we continue to go, and obviously as it gets closer to the next show, we'll kind of restart up maybe some check-ins, and then we'll probably miss a few as it'll happen because John will be hyper focused, which we totally understand. But I'll do my best to capture as much as I can without pushing John over the edge of telling me to go myself, because he's just dieted and exhausted. But no, John was always great throughout that time, so appreciate that, and excited to see what's next. But for everybody out there, all that fun YouTube stuff, like, subscribe, turn on notifications,
and subscribe, guys.
There you go. We'll see you.